Welcome back to Power CEOs, Truth Behind the Business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, entrepreneur, investor, and business strategist. If you're just tuning in, you're going to want to go to nowmedia.tv, click on this show, Power CEOs, and catch the first half of this segment. Why? Because I am here in studio with Jessica, a fellow entrepreneur in the fertility space. We've talked about important stuff like sex. How do you get it in? We're super busy as an entrepreneur. We've talked about communication, both with your family and with your teams, and how to be sure that you're always coming from that space of what can I do? How can I show up differently so that you can make sure you have clear, open communication channels. And we've talked about what it's like to start up a business and what to do in that trough of despair and how important it is to have the right community around you to support you, lift you up, and have the right coaches and mentors to ensure that you're set for success. And we're going to dive right back into that because we finished talking a little bit about that trough of despair. Everybody has it. We don't operate in a vacuum. Entrepreneurship feels very lonely, but the reality is we all have community. We just have to find the right ones. So as people are going through their journey, I want to shift the conversation to your business. You are in healthcare for all intents and purposes, and you are in fertility because you want to help people. And these people are very stressed because they're not able to necessarily conceive when they want to, and stress is a big part of it. Mm-hmm. As entrepreneurs, stress is a part of our life. And we all need some tools or some strategies to be able to mitigate that. How do you work with your clients? Like, what are some of the key ways that you're able to help your clients to kind of bring themselves back into balance so they can take a breath and actually enjoy the thing that they're trying to do to begin with?
Thank you for asking that question. Our entire program is based in autonomic nervous system regulation. So we are working with nervous system regulation overall. And so the first thing, and no matter what, when we have stress, it impacts our hormones. It impacts our cortisol. Our cortisol goes up. It changes our sex hormones, and it can impact our fertility. This also impacts us whether we're trying to conceive or not. So when we think about our teams in business, it's the same. So when it came to my company, the way we started is I have a team of 8 coaches, and then there's myself. And what we did is we did the exact same process that we have our fertility patients do. So what we do is we teach them about nervous system regulation. We use something called heart math, which is a device that helps you breathe. And when we are breathing with heart math, it actually resets you into parasympathetic out of your fight or flight. So we give them that metric that they can measure on their own phone with their own device. And then we do some other things that help with not just the conscious, but the subconscious and unconscious stressors, because there are all those things we know are stressful, and then there are things that are underlying that we don't understand quite why we're feeling stressed. Everything's perfect, right? Everything is perfect. Why are we feeling that stress? And those are the things that we have to acknowledge and be kind to ourselves with and be kind to each other with. So our team built that so that as our team is expanding and growing and scaling, we're able to provide that same type of skill set to our members of our wellness program.
And so I love that you talk about breath work, because breath work is so key, and it's so underrated.
Absolutely.
It's the easiest, in my mind, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it is the easiest tool for us to implement because it requires nothing but us.
It is. There's a caveat to that. It's simple but not easy. Mm-hmm. So it's simple to know that deep breathing and certain patterns that can actually work really well for helping our stress. But what those patterns are have to be taught. We do have to learn what those patterns are. It's easy enough to find that on YouTube or to follow some leaders in the breathwork space. The beauty about heart math is that it actually will show you metrics, and it'll tell you on your device if you're doing it right or not.
I really like that instant feedback. I'm a big fan of the feedback because we need that loop. I come from sports medicine, so like feedback is essential for us to learn, grow, and do better, like get the edge in sports. Same in business. Yeah. And so what would you tell, like what is one concrete thing that people who are watching or listening right now that they can implement that will help them with their nervous system regulation right off the bat, like something that they can implement today?
So there is something called box breathing. So what that is you can breathe in for a count of 4, and you can suspend your breath. Now people say hold, but I don't want you to do this. I want you to suspend your breath. So breathe in for a count of 4, 4. Suspend, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Suspend at the bottom, 2, 3, 4. And you can do that over and over again. Do that for about 2 minutes. And that is one type of breathing that you should feel better after about 2 minutes of doing it.
And don't go,
yeah, and then hold. And here's the other part. If you find that you're struggling with that, give yourself a break and just try to start taking some deep breaths, because what stress does is it makes us breathe very shallowly. So if you feel that you're breathing shallowly, or hold our breath a lot during stress. So you have to notice that. Try to just pay attention to your breath pattern, see what your breath pattern is, and then know there are options out there to be able to help you relax just through breath.
I think that was so fantastic. So you gave us the actionable item of the day to manage your stress, to regulate your nervous system. And the box breath is something that I personally use a lot. So if you're listening to Jessica, take her advice, try it out, figure out how you can fit that into your day, because it is so incredibly important. And talk to me a little bit about how regulating our nervous system actually improves our performance as entrepreneurs, improves all the things that we need to do, like speed up decision making, creative problem solving, and all of that other good stuff that we need to be doing.
It's very important to know that when we are in fight or flight, we are not creative. We are not creative. So it's our job, it's our duty to become calmer, to be in parasympathetic. For our purpose, like a purpose that's large like ours, it is our job. We must be in that parasympathetic state. And when you get that, we're supposed to be parasympathetic with moments of fight or flight, not living in fight or flight, but in the way that we live our lives, especially with demands from work and home, and the thought that we should achieve a perfect balance, which doesn't actually exist. Once we accept that, I know, that's perfect. So once we accept we don't have that perfect balance, and we find that space, and we can start resetting our parasympathetic, then we're going to be in a much better place to recognize when that fight or flight hits us. Right now, the person who says, I'm fine, everything's fine, nothing bothers me at all, I can take anything that comes my way, you're showing me a person who's chronically in that stress state, and they're never in parasympathetic. So it's really important just to be aware, first of all, that we need to be in parasympathetic to be creative. We need to be in parasympathetic to have love and communication and community. So it's very important that we as entrepreneurs, we model that for our team, for our community, for our clients, so that they can see, as within so without, what we're doing within ourselves and within our team is also what we provide within our business, and we'll only go up from there.
You know, and something that really comes to mind, people will come and say, I need time management, I need energy management, I don't have enough energy or time to do all the things that I need to do during the day. And I always say, hold up. We build white space into our calendars to handle the fires in business, so that when a fire happens, we have a container for it, so we don't have to stress over the fact that this new thing happened and dropped in our plate today, because that's just a reality in business. There's always a fire somewhere.
Yeah.
There's always a fire somewhere. We can't control everything. There's always something outside of our locus control. Oh, there's a pandemic. Well, if you have white space in your calendar, you can think about it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's always something outside of our locus of control. And so what I'm hearing from the neuroregulation standpoint is we need white space. We need to down-regulate so that we operate here, so that when something happens, we can have the room to have that uptick, recognize it, bring it back down, so that we can be level-headed about our decisions. Because otherwise, we fly off the handle and do all the wrong things.
Yeah, we do. That white space, I find people aren't building in, though. They're not building in. And one of the, I don't know about for your laptop, it says, what is your productivity? And it's watching you. It's watching your calendar. So we are building everything back to back and not giving ourselves appropriate white space. So it is something we need to pay attention to and allow for our community in our business.
You know, that's one of the first things that our clients, because I'm a business coach, and one of the first things that we talk to our clients about is, where is your white space in your calendar, so that we can have that. Because if you're always stressed out, you don't have any capacity to handle anything else. And if your calendar is booked, like chock-a-block, like what you were talking about, you have no time to handle anything that comes up, and then you're always late, you're always behind, and that adds to your stress level, and you can't communicate effectively. So it also is an emotional white space. Like, how do you help people to build in the emotional white space?
Oh, that's a tough one. So within our business, we have a meeting once a week, and we basically have, it's most companies, I think, might think it's a waste of time, and it's the most valuable time I have every week, where we get together. There are about 10 of us on our team that gets together, and we talk about how are you is the question, and we're not asking business. And so it's really important for us to be able to touch each other in that space to say, how are you as a person, so that we can know it's valuable. It's incredibly valuable that we find that space for ourselves and to support each other. And then when we have that support in that white space, that personal space where I know my team has me, so that if I have something with a child or I have an emergency, I can take care of it. And I'm held up by all of the people on my team because we hold ourselves and each other in that space, in that white space.
That's super fantastic. And so I think the takeaway right now, what I'm hearing loud and clear, is build the white space into your calendar so that you can handle the fires that come up on the business side, but also build in the white space and have the conversation with your team and have that touch point, because I know this to be true. In any conflict, we have to downregulate the emotions before we can actually resolve a conflict if we want a good outcome. And so have that space and hold that space for your team. And we talk about psychological safe space a lot in the show recently, because it's so incredibly important that your team knows that they're supported as well. And when one person is having a personal hard time, we can, as a collective, come together, take up that slack, and the business doesn't suffer. We do have to take a brief break, but we'll be right back after these messages.